Hello there. In this video, we're going to talk about common problems and the misconception that creates them. I hear these problems all the time when I'm talking with people about becoming an agile organization, the fears that they have about going towards agility, the idea of that there's no control over scope creep, that the scope is just going to keep expanding and I'm never going to be able to control it, or so because of that we'll never be done, or we'll always come in over budget. No or wrong or disempowered product owners, that there's no product owner here, or we don't have the right person. um, a lot of times people talk about budgets being hard to control and predict, or they're just not controlled or predicted at all, and they're afraid of budgets running out of control, and how do you run a business if you can't control the budget. They also talk about difficult and impossible to predict schedules. Sometimes you'll hear agile folks say that we don't do agile, or we don't do schedules here because we're an agile organization. Well, that's baloney. But there's an underlying problem that has caused this to come to be, and that's a misunderstanding of what it really means to be an agile organization. So we'll talk about it here in this little video series. So my question to you is, what is the definition that you have heard of project management? Can you think of it? Do you know what it is? There is actually a specific definition that the Project Management Institute uses when they talk about what a project is, or project management is, and or what a project is. And the hilarious thing is, I've given this part of the talk many times at project management organizations, and there has been hundreds of times, and there have been two times that someone has actually come up with this definition and knows what it is. And the funniest thing is, one of them wasn't a PMI person or a project management person. They were an agile software company representative. It's pretty funny. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Project management is the control of that unique temporary endeavor to create a unique product, service, or result. This, my friends, is not what the folks had in mind when they originally created Agile. They did not have project management or projects in mind at all. What they had in mind was products and product management. Now, what is product management and how does that differ? What is product management and how does that differ from project management? Well, if you look at the pictures here, you see this is a little dock, and it ends. It is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Product management is more like this road. It goes on and on and on, has its ups and downs, but it goes on for a very long time. The definition that I grabbed off of the internets, because everything on the internet is true and correct, is that product management is an organizational life cycle function, not a lifestyle function, life cycle function within a company dealing with the planning, forecasting, marketing of a product or products at all stages of product life. So the example I like to use with this is Microsoft and the Windows application. If you remember back with me, way back in the day when we had Windows that had version numbers, Windows 3.1 and Windows 3.1.1 came out in pretty rapid succession. Can you recall what the difference was between Windows 3.1 and Windows 3.1, or what the innovation was in Windows 3.1 and what the innovation was in Windows 3.1.1? Remember? If you haven't remembered by now, you probably weren't around then, or just have forgotten. The difference was the addition of networking. The innovation that came at Windows 3.1 was the use of a graphical user interface. So the borrowing of an idea from Apple to create a graphical user interface was what happened with Windows 3.1. With Windows 3.1.1, they added networking. So peer-to-peer networking was added. The interesting thing is, do you think that peer-to-peer networking was something they would like to have had in version 1, version 3.1. Of course it is. Of course it's something that they would like to have had in version 3.1, but they weren't able to get it in time, right? They just wanted to get that graphical user interface out first and fast, and were willing to wait for version 3.11. This is very different than a project that is a discrete timeline. In a project, you don't have a version 3.11 coming right after it. Let's take a look here. Something called the triple constraint. Scope, schedule, budget. You might have heard it called the iron triangle. I call it the triple constraint. And there sometimes people throw a fourth one in there that they use as like the center space of the triangle when they draw a triangle for this, and that's the quality. It kind of stretches it, and I haven't liked that definition, so we'll go with just the triple constraint. In a project, there in the column under project management, you see projects have a fixed set of features for the scope, but products have an ongoing prioritized list of features. So with that Windows 3.1 versus Windows 3.11 thing, you had a product because it had an ongoing list. There was a Windows 3.1, there was a Windows 3.11, there was a Windows 95, 98, 2000, right? All of these versions of Windows kept coming because it's a product, not a project. If you think about an enterprise organization that has, maybe they have SAP or some financial software that they run for their whole organization, and you're the director of finance or the VP of finance or whomever, CFO, and you have the project in your budget for the year, whatever the current year is right now, you have the project in there to replace the budgeting system, replace the financial system. How often do you think that happens? Do you get another chance at this, right? That happens maybe once every 5 or 10 years that you replace an entire system like the finance system. You don't have a big budget to do that kind of large overhaul. You might have little things that you're going to tweak here and there, but if it's an installed package like that, you're not going to get a whole lot of budget for it. So you have a fixed set of features. Then under schedule with your financial system, you would have a fixed start and end date. And under budget, you would have a one-time allocation. You're budgeted either in the annual or biannual budget an amount of money, right? $500 million to replace the financial system. Depends on the size of your organization. Blah, blah, blah. Here it is. You've got this money. That's it. That actually incentivizes managers or project sponsors to have scope creep, because they don't know when they're ever going to get this money again. And especially if the project is long, if it's a 18 to 24 month project, then technology moves so fast that halfway through there, you have new technical needs, new customer needs, new platforms, and new features that you didn't even know you needed 12 months ago. And now you're getting close to implementation, or in the 24 month, you're halfway through the project. You're incentivized to try and squeeze those in because you won't get more money for another 5 years. So it's go time right now. So you want to squeeze those in. With a product focus or a product mindset, you look at your work as an ongoing prioritized list. So that new feature comes out, great, I'll get it in the next release. I don't have a 24-month release cycle. I have more frequent release cycles than that because it's an ongoing thing. Or maybe I do have a 24-month release cycle. It still doesn't matter. I can push something out of scope that I think can go in the next release cycle because of this new feature that I want to get into the scope. I know I'll have multiple releases there under schedule, and my budget is cyclical. I'm not worried about the budget that I'm going to have next year unless my product is at the end of life cycle. And then I'm still not worried because I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to go away. So that's the difference between a product management and a project management mindset. And in an agile organization, you're right, if you look at the things that make it possible to be agile, right? Incremental delivery, prioritized lists of products, welcoming change even late in development. These are all things that flow very naturally under product development and are very difficult under project management. So that's the deal. If you want to, that's the deal. If you want to uh, have it easy, you need to change the way your organization thinks about work and think more in product development and product management than in project management or project development. Um, that's not to say that you can't use an agile approach in a project. So don't hear that in what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it's easier in product management, product development. If you're going to use a project management approach, you just need to have really clear um, contract agreements, not legal contracts, but verbal understanding with your sponsors, et cetera, that the end um, scope is going to be fluid, and because chances are the schedule and budget are not going to be able to be um, fluid, but to agree with your sponsors that the end scope should be fluid because requirements and technologies and needs of your customers are changing. And so implement what's most important first in an agile approach. Implement it fully so that when you come to the end of your timeline, the end date for your schedule, you have implemented all the most important things and left yourself flexible to implement more important things even later in the development because you didn't set a fixed set of features. All right, excellent. And I will see you in the next video.